If you are technically inclined or technology inclined, you can look at building a product, partnering with one as a property expert, or using these tools to run a sharper traditional business. What is the opportunity here? In Nigeria's property problems are business ideas that you can address and deal with. Every frustration in this market is a service that someone will pay for. So it's important to stop seeing problems and start seeing solutions or mandates. So the first one is a trust deficit. There's a big trust gap in the real estate market at present, and many buyers are afraid of being scammed. It's important for them that there's verified, professional, accountable service, and that is really a premium product in this market. People are looking for someone they can trust, because for many people, property is one of the single biggest investments they will make in their lifetimes. The more people are able to trust you, the more business you will do, the more referrals you will get. Secondly, another opportunity is documentation opacity. So at times, title is confusing and risky. This is something that on the legal side, people with a legal background might look to pursue. So clean documentation and perfection as a service. Thirdly, the rent finance gap. Paying annual rent or multi-year rents locks many people out of the market, and it's very difficult. Another problem or issue is data scarcity, right? Reliable numbers can be very difficult to find, and this is something that people will pay for. Research, advisory are things that people will pay for so that they don't make mistakes in committing capital to real estate. The diaspora gap is another issue. So Nigerians abroad need eyes on the ground. And this goes back to the trust deficit as well. They're not here. They need people that they can trust to help them acquire, buy property, or to monitor projects that they are building or investing in. And finally, management quality. After a property is built or occupied, it's very important to ensure that they are well maintained. And this is where facility management or property management come into play. So the next module is about your edge. What are your skills? How should you position yourself? And what should you think about doing as you start, right? And here, the important thing to know is that hard skills will help you win deals, but it's the soft skills that will help you keep them and to keep your clients and to continue getting the referrals. So what are those hard skills in the real estate business? Number one, documentation literacy. Real estate is about documentation and being able to maintain clear, accurate records. You might think it's not a skill, but it is. Secondly, financial literacy. Real estate is about numbers and it's about data. So a very good understanding of development, and if you're doing development, if you're advising, what the costs are is very, very important. For those who are looking at the analysis side on feasibilities, right, it's important to have a very good idea about whether a development or a project is going to work or not. Another very important skill to have is negotiation. What is the price? What is it worth to my clients? What partnerships can I commit to? When I set out a contract, what are the terms? How do I get them to favor me? How do I get them to favor my clients? So negotiation is very important. And increasingly nowadays, digital competency, right? So that could be your financial models, that could be with the CRM, client relationship management I mentioned before. But increasingly now, marketing and social proof. Every business is realizing now that being competent with social media is very important to their business growth, especially as the landscape is changing and their customers are changing. So there's a new generation of customers who are actively engaged with social media, and it's very important that anyone in this business is competent in that. So what are the soft skills that will keep you in business? Integrity is extremely important. It's a trust business. As we've said before, for many people, the property that they will buy is one of the biggest investments they will make in their lifetimes. And if they are renting, it's not small either. People will actually pay a premium to deal with someone that they know they can trust. So integrity is very important. Clear communication in terms of the mandate you have, in terms of the terms and conditions of any activity you're doing, in terms of the information you are giving your client about a property. All these are very important so that there are no errors, no mistakes. Emotional intelligence is also very important. It's that consistency that builds the trust that the client needs. Problem solving and initiative is also important, and collaboration and leadership. So those are the soft skills one needs to run the business and to stay in business. How do you stand out? One thing to note is that this business is also very, in some respects, it is very crowded because there are many people who purport to be doing agency business, for instance, but in a very unstructured way. And I think that is also contributing to the trust deficit that we have in the real estate space. So by following many of these suggestions that I have given, you start to stand out. How do you stand out from the crowd? Because, every week a new company is launching, somebody wakes up and starts an Instagram page, you see a new banner saying this is for sale. So the question is that, how do I enter in a way that makes me relevant, trusted, and help me run a sustainable business? And the answer to that is having a defined niche. And that's something you can build on. Specialization is important because it helps you build authority. And when you have authority, it builds trust. When people can trust you, when clients can trust you, you get revenue, right? So in many ways, it's not necessarily about chasing the money, right? Or hustling. It's about putting a structured business in place, right? That can help you get there. And pursuing the dream and pursuing it in a defined, sustainable way, not the money. And there are different niches one can look at that I think, in many ways are not as touched now. There's student housing, okay, there's affordable housing, there's advising the diaspora, right? There's land acquisition, there's property management, and, increasingly now we have short-term rental operations or short lets. And that will be the subject of another course another day. Now, there are what we call risks that you need to price in. And it's just to be aware about these things and to plan for them and to mitigate them, right? Every one of these is manageable with discipline. As we said, discipline is extremely important, right? So in our market in Nigeria, expect issues such as land disputes, multiple sales, rising construction costs, right? Regulatory and policy changes, infrastructure gaps, whether it be power or access in terms of roads, title irregularities, fake documentation. So again, our market is developing, and yes, there are issues. These issues lead to opportunities. But in the meantime, you need to manage some of these things. And you can manage these with doing due diligence. So due diligence on title, on documentation, and also KYC on your customers. So knowing your customers. What is KYC? It's knowing their details, identifying them, knowing their sources of income, And this is very important from the anti-money laundering perspective we spoke about earlier. It's also about feasibility studies before commitment, right? Now, there are different levels of feasibility you need to do. There are simple ones you can do where you try to understand what is driving a market and whether it makes sense, whether a property that you are perhaps building or developing or advising someone to buy is located in the right place, right? If I build a shopping mall on this road, will it attract customers? Will I be able to rent it out? If I build a residential in this area, will I be able to sell it? So that's the feasibility study. And these can be very in-depth, but at the very least, one needs to sit down before dealing with any property and understanding everything surrounding it. You can manage these with strong professional partnerships because you can't do everything. You may be an agent or you might be an acquisition advisor for someone in the diaspora, but you might partner with another firm to do the property management. If you're going to do a valuation because you're helping someone raise funding, right, and you are not registered to do so, you can partner with a firm that does that. So partnerships are critical and important in managing many of these risks. We talked about title and documentation. If you're not a lawyer, you might not be able to check title. So you need to find a firm, legal firm you can work with where they will go and check all the title for you. Then you also need financial discipline and cash buffers, whatever you are doing. We talked about levels of capital, with development being the most capital intensive, and perhaps agency not needing so much capital. But in any business you're going to run, you need to have financial discipline. You need to have cash buffers. You need to manage your cash flow. It's about starting today. But it's not just about jumping in. You need to prepare, you need to plan. So how would your first 90 days look? Choose your lane, select the business you want to do, and understand if you have the skill and ability to do that business. Register your business with the CAC. Get your tax identification number. Open a bank account. Write a plan. Who are you going to provide services to? How will you earn money? What will success look like for you? Number 4, get information. Build out those comparables. Get data. Understand the area that you are going into extremely well. Activate your network. Real estate is heavily relationship driven. So tell lots of people exactly what you do now and how you can help them. And finally, keep clean records. Register every naira in and everything you're spending right from day one. Real estate rewards patience and consistency. You don't need to chase quick wins. That is not building a business. You need to build systems, you need to build trust, and you need to build resilience. Knowledge is your greatest advantage. Build the business, don't just build a deal. Start with a structure, pick a lane, get legal, understand your market, and solve a real problem. The goal, again, is to build a sustainable business that creates long-term wealth for you, as well as for the communities you're serving. Thank you.